What is up, guys?
Yeah, hello everybody.
Welcome.
Welcome to Quarantine Cuisine.
So this is our 6th episode. Yeah. So welcome to the 6th episode ever of the Quarantine Cuisine. We are so pumped to have you guys here. I am loving Fred Exotics.
Yeah, Fred, you are
Background
killing it
there.
with that background.
Looking great. We like that. And so this is going to be a really fun class. We got the Snake River Farms group on this call. We got Harold and McGee on this call. And then by the end of this, right, I don't know, at least if you're on the California time, before 5 p.m., you're going to be enjoying some delicious mushrooms and some Wagyu beef. So that is awesome.
America's finest Wagyu beef.
And so we got one special birthday on this to Audrey. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you for joining us during this quarantine time. And I hope this beef was everything you were dreaming of for your birthday.
Happy birthday.
And so last week we told you guys that we wanted to hit a goal of cooking 1,000 meals, right? And so we did that. And we're going to show you guys this video of us delivering mac and cheese to 3 different hospitals. And now we actually have kind of a good bad problem, is that we need some volunteers to help us cook these meals. We want to commit to doing 1,000 a week. So if anybody is in the Oakland Bay area and you want to help us on Tuesday and Wednesday start making meals for the healthcare workers, we're actually going to get a food truck posted up outside the hospital. And we're either going to do Philly cheesesteaks this week or we're going to do burgers.
Burgers and mushrooms.
So we got some extra mushrooms because we bought everything that the foragers had to support them at this time. And we're going to be able to incorporate that into a super tasty either mushroom Philly or mushroom burger for the healthcare workers. So we got Brett behind the camera, and he's going to turn that video on for you guys, get your sound on, and right after that, we'll dive into this.
Hey everyone, this is Ian from Truffle Shuffle. We're donating over 200 mac and cheese meals today to 3 different hospitals throughout San Francisco and Oakland. It's gonna be awesome. Hey everyone, Ian from Truffle Shuffle here. We're at Highlands Hospital in Oakland. We just donated a bunch of mac and cheese to all these helpers out here.
Truffle Shuffle!
We're here at Zuckerberg General Hospital today. We just donated about 100 meals worth of mac and cheese to all the hardworking people.
Truffle Shuffle!
We're here at UCSF. We just donated another 75 mac and cheese to these guys. Everyone, again, we're super appreciated, just as we are.
Truffle Shuffle! Thank you, Truffle Shuffle!
Thank you guys for making it possible.
Thank you.
This is an incredibly hard time for everyone, and just to be able to be a part of something that gives back right now, just to be able to have those resources is absolutely incredible. And it means the world to us to be on the side where we can actually cook it, but we would not be able to do that without you guys. So thank you so much. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to bust this kid out, right? And then we got 2 very special people that are going to talk to you guys about the main component of this dish. And that is the steak.
That's the steak.
So first and foremost, we're going to get our Let's Cook pamphlet, right? And so every week, right, one, as professional as we are, I know this seems like we've been doing this business for 30 years. But this is actually, we're 1 month into this. So every week, whatever comments you guys have, we are taking them, right? And you guys ask for more detailed instruction. And what do? We gave you more detailed instruction.
We got detailed with it.
Yeah.
We got very detailed.
So first, Let's Cook pamphlet. What you do is open that. Right? If you don't open it, you can't read it. And hopefully you followed all the steps. So step 1 was get the items out of the fridge. So we got them out of the fridge. We put them back into this box, right?
Yep.
And then we got our steak out, right? We got it on a, there's actually called a medicine tray. This is from Tyler. Tyler actually cut himself recently this week, and while at the hospital, he stole this tray.
Stole it.
So because
But I'm gonna return it.
we might return it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we
We
are
just
very
needed it for
metal individuals over here, we are resting the steak on the tray Tyler borrowed from the hospital.
Keeping it metal.
We're just kidding about that. That's actually a common, they call it a medicine tray, but it's a common tray that you
Yeah.
have in Michelin-rated
You
kitchens.
call it a passing tray too.
A passing
where you
tray.
pass up all the mise en place to go onto the plate.
Yeah.
You plate off of that.
Perfect. So we got those first instructions, and then we're just going to go through the equipment real quick. So on my list here, I have a cutting board. I like to go to the cutting board first because I like to display my board cam.
Mm.
Yeah. Do you guys like that board cam? It's like the board cam when you're surfing, but here we're just chopping things during a quarantine. Next, we have a 10-inch saute pan. Tyler, would you like to show them that saute pan? Wow.
Beautiful.
There's kind of two pans you can use for this. One is a true saute pan, right? And this is more of what you would call a saucepan.
Mm-hmm. With the sides on it. Like the saute pan has like the more tapered sides.
Mm-hmm.
This has the 2-inch side. Straight sided.
And so we got one question out there. So Tyler, cast iron is great for searing, right?
Mm.
Holds the heat, gets a really nice job on the heat of the steak. But we're going to make a sauce in that pan, and you don't want to do that in a cast iron pan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we chose this one, because you have that lip, right? And so that lip will allow us to sear in the pan and then make the sauce. Next, you're going to need a knife. I have a very simple vegetable cleaver. This works great.
Yep.
You actually,
Great little chopper knife.
yeah, there's these, and then there's a knife brand called Kiwi. And they make, honestly, the same knife, but it's like $3. Or it's not the same knife, but it does the same purpose, right?
Mm.
And they're very thin, and you can get them for like $5. And because they're so thin, they stay pretty sharp. Pretty cool knives. Have you ever used those?
Yeah, you can cut a lot of stuff with those knives.
Yeah.
Cut a lot of mushrooms.
And then next, this is the most important process. And you're going to need the base spoon, right?
Yep.
And so what you want to do is go to your kitchen drawer. You're going to open the kitchen drawer up, and there's going to be one spoon that speaks to you. You want to grab that spoon.
Yeah. Ideally, it's a larger spoon. Because we're going to be cooking with it, basting with it, admiring it,
Yeah.
impressing others with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so everyone, make sure you get your base spoon, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to assemble the base spoons like Voltron. So once everyone gets their base spoon, we're going to hold them to the camera like this. And you're going to see the power of the base spoon all come together.
There you go. Fred's got his base spoon, man. That
There we
thing
go.
is poised.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So
Love
everyone bust those base spoons
Yep.
out,
Yep.
right? Turn your cameras on, and we're going to
See
hold
it.
them to the screen.
Mm.
You guys feel that?
Knife.
All right. For the
Those
next
are
class,
some
we're gonna get
fantastic
music.
looking spoons.
You get
Yeah.
the Transformer
Yeah.
music
Need
there,
some-
Brett. Wow. Marissa, are you on the side of the Golden Gate Bridge right now? Where'd she go? Everything's okay, Marissa. Do not worry. Okay. And then next you'll need 2 bowls, right? So 2 bowls. I know we didn't put this on there, but that's because we're actually able to get some morels for everyone.
Yeah.
Morels are very dirty, and we're going to show you how to clean the morels in these bowls.
Yeah. And so morels only pop up after the rains. So honestly, right now it's been kind of difficult finding them. But our guys up in Medford, Oregon, it rained up there last week, and a bunch of morels popped up. And so that's why we wanted to add the last minute addition of beautiful blonde morels from Oregon to the mix.
Yeah. And then, Karen, are you chugging Fernet, or is that sparkling water? Okay, we'll take your word for it. She
Right.
said it's sparkling water, but we'll take her word for that. I'm pretty sure it's a Fernet bottle. Awesome. Next, should we bust out this kit?
Let's get that kit open.
So most of these kits were delivered with the help of our newly formed chef force, right? Chef X. Chef X. So we've hired a lot of the chefs that we worked with. They got laid off without any health insurance, and we're trying to teach them how to be delivery drivers. It's going pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. So first, I got my morels. Boom.
Stunning.
Look at this. These are nice morels, guys.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite mushrooms. Super flavorful. There's nothing else like those. They're very, very, very unique.
The honeycomb on them holds the sauce. You guys will see.
Yep.
And then in this packet, we have wild maitakes and then oyster mushrooms. And so right now, normally we'd be getting our mushrooms from the farmer's market with Far West, but Far West can't operate at the farmer's market. So I just want you guys to know this was the largest purchase that Far West got this week, and they're all very thankful. Next, we have our thyme and garlic.
Flavoring agents.
Every recipe requires thyme. Then we have Madeira.
Yep.
So Sarah was actually telling us in the other class. Sarah, you want to tell them a little bit about Madeira real quick?
Yeah, Sarah. Chat about Madeira.
Yeah, so I'm sure a lot of people have had Madeira as a dessert wine in the past. So it's a fortified wine, but actually the history behind Madeira is it comes from the Portuguese island by the same name of Madeira. It's a little bit closer to Northern Africa, but so Madeira can be made in a few different grapes, but all coming from that island. And so the origin is when the New World was being established. And we started shipping goods over from Europe to America. Portugal was making wine, and so they sent over wine to the New World, and people's tastes had kind of changed, and everyone was drinking Bordeaux and Sauterne at the time, and this weird hot Portuguese wine wasn't really something that people were interested in. So it got to the New World, and they said, we don't want it, and sent it back. So all these barrels came across the equator in the hull of a ship, and then they had to do that a second time going back to Portugal. So what had happened is the barrels of wine heated up underneath the ships, and so it was essentially cooked. And so that cooked wine came back to Portugal, and the Portuguese tasted it, and they said, well, actually, this is something new that's really beautiful and awesome. And we have some grapes that really, certain varieties that were put into older Madeira are actually extinct now. So you can only taste them by purchasing Madeira that's from the 1800s that you can still drink today. It's still available. So you'll see older Madeira by the glass in certain restaurants. That's a fun experience that's really only once in a lifetime sometimes. So how they produce it today, it's not making 2 across the sea journeys in order to produce 1 barrel of Madeira, but they're put into these attics and these buildings, and the sun essentially cooks these barrels. So Madeira is really pretty much a 10-year aging process in order to make this wine, this fortified wine. So not that you should drink all this should go into the sauce, but that's kind of the history of how that comes about.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah.
No.
Thanks, Sarah.
So
Nice. I had no idea about the ships thing. That's crazy.
the moral of that story is you need to have a return policy. Could you imagine that? FedEx, they send you a label, right? You put it back in the box. I mean, Amazon, you can just drop it off pretty much anywhere.
Right.
If you just text Amazon, you're I left the package at the corner, they will come pick it up.
Right.
But back in the day, they had to take everything back in the boat, take it back to Portugal.
Their return policy was just make a different kind of wine.
Yeah. I mean, if I shipped wine to America and then they shipped it back to me, I would also be yeah, well, it tastes better now. You guys really messed that one up. So next we got our butter. So we measured this out for you guys perfectly. You're welcome. Then we got our Bolognese truffle salt. Boom. And then we got our truffle carpaccio. And so these are made with summer truffles here. So summer truffles aren't the best truffles for shaving over a dish. What you have to do is cook with them. So we took these and lightly poached them in a little bit of olive oil. And if you haven't already, which Eric, I know you already did, Now's a good time to bust these open and just smell it. Oh, oh my God.
Oh,
wow.
one of my favorites. And when you heat up summer truffles, like he was saying, that's when the real character of them comes out. They're not the same, like shaved raw over a product like black truffles or white truffles, but you'll see in this recipe, they'll really come out. Don't need that anymore.
Last, you have the canola oil. So we're not doing olive oil for this because it's going to be a high heat preparation.
Mm-hmm.
And so the one thing that we are doing and why we felt we could make a class out of this, right? One, you guys told us you wanted a ribeye class. We listened, okay? Two, there's a couple schools of thought on how to cook a ribeye, but there's one that chefs truly have taken to heart and really prevails forward.
Because it works.
Because it works and
Every time.
It's just incredible. And as a young chef, there's a book out there that we have all read, and it's called On Food and Cooking by Harold McGee. And I mean, truly,
the Bible of cuisine.
It's the Bible. And you got to think. So this is the Bible.
And so whenever you had any questions, like as a young cook trying to learn, you know, like you go into work, you cook things over and over, you get yelled at by the chef all day long, 14-hour day shift, and then you're trying to figure out like, okay, how do I do it differently? Like I can say for myself, I would sit down at the end of a shift, you know, and be like, oh man, I wish I knew how to cook the meat better because like the standards are so high and it's always got to be perfect. And you're cooking like, you know, 90 steaks a night. And so consulting on food and cooking, like any questions, honestly, that you have about cooking, like they're answered in this. So you can just go down the rabbit hole with this book. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And I couldn't afford to go to culinary school, and I was worried that someone that had more of an education would beat me out of a job. So I actually read the entire book. As a young chef, I would go home, I'd read the entire thing, and there's no chef out there that doesn't hold this book very close to their heart.
Right. Seriously.
And we are very fortunate to reach out to Harold McGee a while back, invite him over to dinner, and formed a friendship with him.
Yeah. He actually came over.
Yeah.
I was blown away. I didn't think he was gonna.
Yeah, he came over. We had it was black truffle season, and we did the asparagus and pea agnolote.
Yeah, we made agnolote.
Yeah, and then we did the artichoke soup, black truffle and artichoke soup. That was really nice.
Stunning.
Yeah. And so we went very heavy on the truffles, right? We were like,
Harold McGee's coming over.
Harold McGee was coming to our house. We're still excited about it.
It blows me away to this day.
And so he has actually joined us on the Zoom call. And Sarah, did you find that section?
I believe so, yeah. I think it's right here. Is that right? Or I'm sorry, it's this one. Is that right?
Yep.
Perfect.
And before we dig into this, right, if anybody happens to be living in planet Earth and there's a quarantine and you're at home, maybe looking for some light reading, we just want to let you know this book's available. Can be purchased on Amazon. Leo will throw a link up there for that. An excellent book, right? If you're on Mars, you guys might be busy up there. I don't know what's going on. Where is Fred Exotic? Where are you?
There he is.
Type it into the chat. Where is Fred Exotic coming from? I saw a Austin, Texas.
Texas.
Nice. So you might have time. Awesome. I saw a thing the other day. I'm going to see if Brett will find this, right? It was a Baskin Robbins sign, and it said Baskin Robbins, and then they wrote, no relation to Carol Baskins. I thought that was pretty good. Fred likes that. Thank you, Fred.
Thanks, Fred.
So I'm going to read the section here. I'm on Food and Cooking, page 156, right? And everybody back home, you guys should have your steaks out resting, right?
Yep. Tempering.
If it's in the fridge, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta read the instructions.
We don't even have commercial breaks, you know? So.
Well, we do.
So I'm going to read this section here, page 156 in the meat section. And it says, aids, and then I'm going to do popcorn. I'm going to call on someone else to read it. And they don't have the book, but aids to successful grilling and frying more meat and frequent flips. And so what this is referencing is it better to sear a steak, put it in the oven, take it out, right? Because grilling and frying involve high heat, they tend to overcook the outer portions of meat while the interior cooks through. This overcooking can be minimized in 2 ways. Pre-warming the meat.
Also known as tempering.
Which
just means like we're taking it out of a cold environment and we want to bring the meat basically to like closer to room temperature.
And flipping it frequently. Right? And so if you don't read the rest of this, you might not know that you need to flip it in the pan. You might just start
on the countertop.
Yeah.
It won't cook like that.
It might. I don't know.
I tried it.
We'll ask Harold.
There you go.
We'll ask Harold. And so I'm going to read this, and then our guys are going to get Harold unmuted, and then we're going to spotlight him. And then if Harold is ready for it, he's going to tell you guys more about the importance of why you should cook a steak like this. So the warmer the meat starts out, the less time it takes to cook through. And so the less time the outer layers are exposed to high heat, the cooking and overcooking time can be reduced by 1/3 or more by wrapping steaks and chops, immersing them for 30 to 60 minutes in warm water so that they approach body temperature, and then cooking immediately. How often should the cook turn a steak or hamburger when grilling or frying? If perfect grill marks are necessary, once or twice. That's why we're doing it in a pan. If texture and moistness are more important, then flip every minute. Frequent turns mean that neither side has time to either absorb or release large amounts of heat. The meat cooks faster and its outer layers end up less overdone. And so, Harold, we would love if you just talk to us about that, and then just tell us a couple of different, when you cook the steak like that, why exactly does it create such a superior product in flavor?
Well, first of all, thank you guys for inviting me to that first dinner, which was amazing. And then to these classes, which are also really wonderful. And thank you for the advertisement for the book. So, yeah, steaks are, one of our favorite things, steaks and chops. And we cook them all the time. We don't always cook them to the best that they could be cooked. And, I wrote on food and cooking 15 years ago, that edition anyway, 15 years ago. And I would say that, when I do the 3rd edition, that's the second, I'm going to modify those paragraphs a little bit, because everything that you just read out is in fact true. But it's important, I think, to take into account the fact that not everybody values the same aspects of the steak equally. So for some people, cooking the steak through as evenly as possible, which is what those paragraphs are about, that's the most important thing. But then for other people, getting a really good sear on the outside is the most important thing, or equally important. So you want to have, some really good browning happening on the surface, as well as cooking the meat through to just the right temperature. So for me, the most important thing for a cook is to just understand, what are the variables? What are your options? And when you make those choices, what do you end up with? So if you follow the instructions that you just read out, that is to say, to pre-warm the steak and then to flip it frequently. And I've actually done the experiment of flipping like every 15 seconds or so.
Yeah.
Which means you do kind of stand there doing nothing else, which is not a luxury that most cooks have. Actually, the faster, more often you flip a steak, the more evenly it'll cook through and the faster it'll cook through. The thing is, though, that because the surfaces, when they come into contact with the pan, do so very briefly, that means that you don't get the kind of sear that you would get if you let it sit on one side for a minute and then flipped it and let that side sit there for a minute. So I would actually recommend these days a kind of hybrid technique for most people, especially if you're cooking for other people and you don't know what their preferences are, is to get a good sear to begin with by letting the steak sit on that side for a minute or so, flip it, let it sit for a minute or so, or however long it takes to get a nice brown to dark brown color, and then start your frequent flipping. And that'll give you, I think, the best of both worlds.
Nice.
Amazing.
Well, that's what we're going to do today.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do.
And so, Harold, with this book, I've always been very curious, as you were writing it, you know, like that section alone, did you do a lot of research on the science of it and then do a lot of cooking at home to back that science up?
It's always, for me, both going on simultaneously, you know, because I'm cooking every day. And so I'm trying different things every day. I'm, you know, not the greatest cook in the world, basically because I never do things the same way twice. Because if I've done it once, I know what that does. Now I want to find out what happens if you change this variable. So it's, for me, constantly cooking and then looking into the scientific literature and trying to understand what it is that's going on. And in the case of the flipping, I have to tell you that this was now back in the 90s when it wasn't so easy to do this kind of thing. But I found a couple of guys, couple of software engineers who wrote a program for me that allowed me to do virtual flipping of a steak of, you know, any thickness at any speed, because I didn't want to buy, you know, hundreds of dollars of beef and then do the experiments myself to find out what would be the difference between flipping every minute, every 30 seconds, every 15 seconds, every 5 seconds. So I got these guys to write a program to model it for me, and was amazed at the results that they got, and then went into the kitchen and did some cooking and found that the model was absolutely right. So that's how I found out about the importance of the frequency of flipping.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah, I've also found too, and I don't know the science behind it, but just from cooking, like the frequent flips, it makes it so you can really hit that temperature, the exact temperature you want, a lot easier. Like it makes it so like there's a little more like give, so to speak, for hitting that temperature and not overcooking it.
Yeah, I find that my characters in Sims never get it right though. They always overcook their steaks. Maybe there's like an integration with the software they came up with. I can put that in the Sims and we'll get some perfectly cooked Sim steaks in here.
The Sims.
Well,
Hey, Harold, this is Andy with Truffle Shuffle. Listen, we've had a couple of people in the chat and elsewhere ask about cast iron. How do you feel about using cast iron considering other options in the way of what you're using on the stove?
And then, so what do you think, Harold? When you're doing this technique, what's your favorite pan to use?
Well, I would say cast iron is absolutely the tops for if a sear is really important to you, because you can build up so much heat in a cast iron pan, way more than you can if you use any other kind, really. It has to do with the density of the material and the heat conductivity and so on. And if you really want to get a serious sear, something that I like to do on occasion, although you have to turn on the ventilation system to take care of the smoke, is that you can get a cast iron pan super hot by taking a piece of aluminum foil and putting it over the pan when you put the pan on the burner. And what that does is, you know, when you heat up a pan, the heat is coming from the burner, it's hitting the pan, it's heating up the pan, but then the pan is also releasing heat to the air, to the kitchen air around it. And you can trap a lot of that heat just by putting a sheet of aluminum foil over the top of the pan, and it reflects that energy back onto the pan.
Nice.
And you can get that pan screaming hot on your stovetop and get a really quick sear, and then turn the heat down and do your frequent flipping.
Mm.
Nice. Very
Try
cool.
that sometime. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
And then switch to like a pan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so for this, you can totally use a cast iron pan for this recipe. You'll just have to make sure that you'll have to re-season it afterwards. Because if you make that Madeira sauce in the cast iron, afterwards you will have to take that cast iron and just properly re-season it.
Yeah. Yeah. To be honest, like the reason why we are using this bonded pan is because we're making that a la minute pan sauce, as opposed to just straight searing the steak. So that's why we're using this pan today.
Awesome. And then Harold, last question. So the best description that I could come up with for who Harold McGee is every chef's hero. How do you explain yourself?
That's heartwarming to hear. And I have to tell you that, you know, when I started this journey of mine writing about the science of cooking back in the 1970s, I hate to say, or I'm proud to say, I had no idea that chefs would have any interest in this. And that's because at the time, no chefs did have any interest in it. They just, you know, professionally trained people back then were just taught recipes and not to understand why things work the way they do, and you know, to innovate and to make things better. That just wasn't on the radar back then. So I just feel, if I had to describe myself, I would describe myself as very lucky to have discovered the subject of food and the subject of food science, food chemistry, at the moment when I did, when food became important in our culture again.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Harold. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah. Thank you, Harold.
Pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. So we got our steak again, coming to temperature, right? And because I got a pretty good feeling that you guys didn't pull your steak out too early. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to have Sarah chat about a couple different wines that will go nice with this dish. And then we have Snake River Farms, the farm that actually produced all the steaks that you guys will be enjoying. And they're going to talk about the difference between American Wagyu, Japanese Wagyu, and what they've been doing out there for Snake River for 30 years. And so just so you guys know, the same steaks that you guys got are the same. It's the same beef that's served at the French Laundry.
Yep.
It's a supplement, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
an additional charge.
And so the supplement just for 4 ounces of beef at the French Laundry is $100, right? So we wanted to deliver some serious value to you guys, and we're really excited to be working with them. So Sarah, what is an awesome wine, right, that you can enjoy with this during a pandemic?
Cool. So something that we had been talking about earlier was there's actually 2 great options here. So if you're a white wine drinker or a red wine drinker, basically I'm going to direct you to Burgundy either way. So either we're going with Chardonnay from Burgundy, and I would go with like Polini Montrachet or Marceau, especially because we're incorporating the butter and the cream and the Madeira sauce. It's a little bit heavier. We're going to have something that has a little bit of like a creamy and brioche element to it, like those 2 Chardonnay those areas tend to produce Chardonnay in a manner that's a little bit more like that, but still something that has acids. So really the big difference between Chardonnay coming from France and what we stereotypically think of for Chardonnay coming from like Napa area, the acid is a big difference. So even though that certain producers in France will end up being like a little bit more creamy in style, they're going to have that acid to balance it out. That's saying nothing against Rombauer, if you guys love drinking that, but it's a butter bomb, and I'm sure you've heard that before. And so that is all like really one flavor at the front. It's easy drinking, no problem, but with wine, you want to have something that balances it out. So basically, if you're doing white wine, that's my recommendation. Something from France, something from the Burgundy area. And then also on the flip side, red Burgundy is perfect because we want something meaty, but we're not doing lamb. So I'm not going to put you into like the Syrah and like Cornas region. But we want to do like Pinot Noir. So things that are more herbaceous, it'll pair with the thyme, it'll have savory elements that are kind of umami for the mushrooms, but it won't be overpowering either, because this isn't like a super, super heavy dish. It's going to be a little bit lighter. Time, it's right there. It's also on the clock. But yeah, so that's what I would say. Go to Burgundy. However, we are in a pandemic, as we're all aware, and it's not as easy to get to the liquor store or to the wine shop. So if you're like us, you have probably raided your nice wine cellar already. And we've gone through a lot of our nicer bottles, but something that Jason actually gifted me when we were living together. So when we started dating, we were still at the French Laundry, and we actually lived across this. What are you doing?
Would you recommend
Yeah, you can finish that bottle of whiskey
some
if you'd
Irish
like
whiskey
to.
for this?
Sure, why not?
I'll be right back, guys.
Anyway, I'm trying to tell a sweet story here. But anyway, when we first started dating, we were still at the French Laundry. We actually lived across the street from the restaurant, and Jason bought me this bottle of wine because we lived in an Airstream trailer, which is pretty cool, on this lady's property. And so we lived in the Airstream trailer, and this bottle, you can see, has an Airstream on it. So we decided to open this bottle today. This is from Barron's Family Winery, and they, excuse me, are you listening?
I'm listening.
Okay. So we, this winery is called Barron's Family. They started off in the late 80s, I believe, as a winery called Barron's and Hitchcock. So it was a partnership. This is a little bit more frequent today, but restaurateurs at that time weren't really happy with the quality of wine they were able to receive. And so a number of people, this family was one of the first to do so, that I'm aware of, but they started their own winery to serve in their restaurants. And now there are a few other people that do that. Liquid Farm is actually a great one. I think they're out of Santa Barbara area, if I'm not mistaken. But that's a husband and wife team that pretty much does the same thing. But Barron's and Hitchcock is no longer a winery anymore, and now it's known as Barron's Family. So if you see Barron's and Hitchcock on a wine list, I can't speak to how well it's held up, but that's definitely something that isn't being produced anymore, so kind of interesting. But this is Barron's Family. They do something called a Road Less Traveled every year. So the gentleman that started Barron's and Hitchcock and was this restaurateur that I'm talking about, his name is Les Barron's. And so this isn't like a super nice bottle of wine, but it's kind of unique, and they're all about taking extra grapes that they have from other productions and having nothing gone to waste. So it's kind of the road less traveled. Not a lot of wineries do this. The better known, more reputable winery that'll do something like this is Abacus, and they reserve a little bit of their reserve wine every year, and then that goes into a blend. And so now they're up to like 18 different vintages, but it has to be multi-vintage because it's not just one. That's something that's popularly done in Champagne as well. Yeah, no problem. So this is their number 4. I think they're on number 6 right now of the multi-vintage, and this one is Cab Merlot, Tempranillo, Malbec, and Cab Franc.
Nice.
So, cheers.
Mix.
Yeah, kind of groovy
Yeah.
with the little fattier
Cheers.
Wagyu. We want something that's a
Cheers.
little bit richer, and why not? So whatever you have handy is perfectly fine to drink.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, no problem.
Nice. Thanks, Sarah.
No problem. Bye.
And then, do you have that picture of the Airstream?
I don't think that I do.
You used to. Remember, Ian's dad made it into a postcard? It's just the front of the Airstream.
Where it says like stay at home or something like that.
It says, I think we got a picture of this Airstream. That is why I fell in love with Sarah and married her. We worked at the French Laundry, but I was living in an Airstream trailer to save money, and had an outdoor shower, an outdoor kitchen set up. I had to fight the raccoons off, right? And then every night,
Yeah, there you go.
I didn't have heat. I just had a little stovetop, and then I made this. I put a sign on it to remind me that to keep going. And so it's have a vision, be relentless. So thank you, Sarah. You see it?
Yeah, I know.
Awesome. Well, we got one last presentation piece, right? And that's from Snake River Farms. And so as you guys are enjoying these wine, you have your ingredients out, you're getting that cast iron ready like Harold talked about. We're going to welcome Snake River Farms into our Zoom room here to talk about this incredible beef we're about to enjoy.
Hey, everybody. Hi, all. Hey, I'm Dave with Snake River Farms. I'm
Oh,
also
we just got to
joined...
unmute you real quick.
Oh, am I muted?
All right, Brett, will you unmute?
No, we got it,
Farms?
Jason.
Dave.
He's unmuted. You're good, Dave. Keep rolling.
You know, around the office, they often want to mute me, so thanks for turning me loose here. Hey, I'm Dave with Snake River Farms. We're based out here in Boise, Idaho, and it's really awesome to be working with Truffle Shuffle on this presentation today. You guys are about to have a fabulous ribeye, and that's from it's American Wagyu beef. So I'll bet you're ready to get cooking. So I'll keep this pretty short. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them in here, and Liz and I will try to answer them up. But super quick. So you know, we're the guys have been talking about Wagyu beef. You know, so you've probably heard of Kobe beef. So the world famous Kobe beef is Wagyu, and that comes from the Kobe region of Japan. But all Kobe beef is Wagyu, but not all Wagyu beef is Kobe. So it's kind of like a champagne, right? Like you get champagne from the Champagne region, but you could get sparkling wine that's awesome. It's from the Napa Valley region, but it can't be called champagne. So American Wagyu is 50%, 100% Wagyu. And Liz is going to talk about it here in a minute. She's kind of our live side expert. But Snake River Farms has the largest herd of pure Wagyu cattle in the United States. And so we breed those with continental breeds, really super high quality cattle like Angus, and some other breeds also, not strictly Angus. But you get 50% Wagyu, 50% of these continental breeds, and you get this awesome beef that you're about to try. If you ever get Japanese Wagyu, it's really a delicacy, and it's super marbled, and it almost looks more white than it does red. And then in the US, we have USDA Prime. That's the highest grade beef. American Wagyu or Snake River Farms is like right in the middle. And we've been doing this for about 30 years. You know, there's really great sources of beef online. Our beef is available in food service, like restaurants, like the French Laundry. And then also you'll see it retail, but also online. You know, there are a lot of cool companies that are doing it. One thing we like to talk about, you know, people say, man, you know, we're experts in the beef company. We've been in beef industry, but we've been doing this like 3 years. We've been doing it for 50 years. And so we think we know a trick or two. And I think really the evidence is when you actually try it. So guys, you've used the beef. I mean, what would you say about it? Or, you know, what comes to mind for you when you think of American Wagyu?
Yeah, so there's kind of, you know, and that's a great point. There's Kobe and then there's Wagyu. And I love that kind of depiction there. And so Melissa, you know, she commented, the steak doesn't look like Wagyu. And so that's what we're excited to hear from you guys on, like, what does certify Wagyu as Wagyu and how are the cows taken care of? And so what I think Melissa's referencing is, to your point, Kobe beef. And so, you know, and we both have kind of different preferences, but it's very similar. But if I'm going to eat a steak, right, if I'm going to sit down and cook a steak, right, I want it to be Wagyu, right? If I'm going to eat just a tiny piece of meat for that enjoyment, right? Like 1 ounce, maybe over nigiri, right? I would like that to be Kobe. But personally, I do not want to sit down and eat an entire piece of Kobe beef because it is just too fatty. Yeah. It blows your palate out. You know, it kills your energy for the rest of the day, the next day. And piece by piece, I think that American Wagyu has more flavor.
Yeah, honestly, for me, it's a textural thing, you know, because like Japanese, the Japanese Wagyu is just like, it's pretty soft. It's got a ton of fat in it, and then but the American Wagyu and the Snake River Wagyu, especially, it's that perfect balance of the flavor from the fat, the texture of the meat is unbelievable, and then so it's like a mixture of flavor and texture. So I actually prefer the American Wagyu, even to like the A5 Kobe.
Yeah. Well, we love hearing that. And there are two different types of beef, and I think you've pointed that out well. I see that Kathy says, you know, why is Wagyu so much more expensive? there's the primary reason is time. So the time that we take to raise the American Wagyu cattle is almost 5 years. And like a commodity beef, like a regular, something you get at the grocery store, that's what, like 180 days, Liz? And then we're more like 500. So it's to take that time to raise the animal in a humane way, with no growth hormones, with no, any tricks, to speed up that process. It just takes time, and the more time and care you take into it, the more expensive it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is there any certification? What is the identifier of Wagyu? What certifies something to be Wagyu, as not necessarily opposed to Kobe, but Wagyu as opposed to just a American steak?
Yeah.
Gotcha. So for us, Snake River Farms is what we call American Wagyu. And so when we first started this like 30 years ago, the USDA didn't know what to call this. And so we called it American Kobe. And that was something that the USDA said, let's call it that, because we don't know what else to call it. It really didn't exist before. So when we're talking, what you're saying Wagyu, we call American Wagyu. It's 50% pure Wagyu and then 50% Angus or other continental breed. And that is specified by the USDA. That's exactly what it is. And so there's a lot of different ways that that's done because of our history and because of our time, the way things go together at Snake River Farms. And Liz can address this in addition to what I'm saying. It really makes a difference. One of the things that happens is the whole American Wagyu, it's like 50% Wagyu cattle, 50% other continental high quality breeds. Then it depends on what's the quality of those animals that you're using. What's the quality of the genetics? And because we been doing this for so long, the level of quality that we have is just superior to most other providers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we have a proprietary herd of purebred Wagyu animals, and that's what, again, to Dave's point, we've been working on improving the quality of those animals over the last 30 years. So it's something that a lot of these other, Wagyu brands out there, they can't match what we've been already working on for so long. So what we're doing is taking these purebred 100% Wagyu animals, working with our ranching partners throughout the Northwest. We'll send them a purebred bull to breed with their Angus cross cattle. And then all of those calves will then come back under our control. And so that's something that's very unique with our product as well, is we are really hands-on from start to finish. We, have say in every aspect of that beef production life cycle. They go through our own operations, all the way through our own, processing facilities. So everything from the food safety side to the consistency, the quality, you're not going to see that with some of those smaller brands. And, we're very selective with those partner ranchers we work with. The quality of their cattle has to meet what we want to work with as well. So you're getting that quality from both sides, the Wagyu and that Angus type. So it's really, again, a very impressive niche product. And to your guys' point, it's not like sitting down eating a full cube of butter, but it's very delicious, just great tasting product.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, very cool. Well, before we start cooking it, is there anything else you guys want to touch on? And are there any questions that anybody that's in the class right now has for our Snake River Farms team?
Yeah, I think I'll just say, Dave mentioned a little earlier, but we do offer Snake River Farms online as well. It can be ordered and sent direct to your house. I know Leah included the link. So we have a lot of different options of cuts. So beyond just the ribeye you're experiencing, you've got, New York steaks, bavette steaks. So each one of those cuts has a very unique flavor profile all on its own, but with that decadent, rich marbling that is Wagyu. So I'd encourage everyone, if you enjoyed the steaks you're eating tonight, to go check it out online and give some other ones a try.
Incredible.
Nice.
We have one question here.
Yes, I have one quick question. Maybe you guys know, but as I'm the only one on the team that's not a chef, I'm kind of unaware. But so what I've heard about, like, Kobe beef is that maybe this is like all fake and like a myth, but that the cows are like massaged and played music and things like that. Is there anything like that gets carried over to your operations at Snake River Farms?
So I'll kind of address that real quick, then maybe Dave has something to add, but you think of it similar to a really high dollar racehorse, right? Like those animals are worth a lot just because of the quality of their genetics. They're not massaged and fed beer. Some of that finer breeding stock is well cared for, but as far as, you know, the raising of them, they're raised very similar to conventional cattle. We do, just because the nature of that breed, it marvels longer than traditional cattle. We slow feed them for longer so they can capitalize on some of their predisposed attributes.
Just real quick, so we have people in our office who have gone to Japan and inspected a lot of, you know, the really high quality operations there, and they tell us that they haven't found anyone massaging the cattle or
That's so funny.
But you know, one thing that Liz and I did some extensive research, and we found that we're in the marketing department. If we drink beer and get massages, it seems to make the cows or the beef taste that much better.
Perfect.
So I recommend that.
Very well said.
Nice.
Hey, thanks for the time, everybody.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you, Dave. Thank you guys so much.
I will see you soon.
Yeah.
And so we have one comment here from Melissa, and she's referencing that she thinks her steak is a little thinner, right? And so when Tyler is cooking this one, we'll go through, and when you get, and Ian was actually the butcher at the French Laundry, when you get this piece of meat in, as you're cutting it, you'll have thicker sides, and then you'll have thinner, kind of fatter sides. And so as we cook this, we'll go through the different ways that you need to cook that steak, and truly, it doesn't really matter the size of it, right? Everyone, we all got 12-ounce steaks here. It matters on how it feels, and Tyler is an expert. So without further ado, back to those Let's Cook pamphlets, right? We're gonna bust in there. I like to keep a pen with me, right? And you guys use this to keep yourself on track. I have 4 different colors here. We're gonna use red.
Nice.
So we have taken it out, removed the packaging, and then allowed it to temper.
Yep.
So we chatted with Harold, it tempered. We got some wine, it tempered.
Yep.
We showed you guys a cool picture of our Airstream, it tempered. And then, I mean, it's so awesome to have Harold and Snake River Farms on this call. I'm so appreciative.
Yeah,
of
I mean, I literally can't believe that both of you
that. So thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
So now we're gonna cut the mushrooms. And so with this, we'll go step by step.
Yeah.
And so, what do you think? You want me to cut these mushrooms, Tyler?
Yeah. You want to cut them, and then I'll kind of talk about them, and we'll talk about the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're opening up the bag of Maitakes and oysters. So Jay's got them out on the cutting board now. So as you can see, there are 2 different kinds of mushrooms. So this is a Maitake mushroom, otherwise known as hen of the woods mushroom. And they grow in those big, they grow in those clusters like that. And so sometimes in the wild, you can literally find like huge clusters of them. And so these ones that we got from our guys are all like really nice, really tight. So they'll cook up like super, super well. And they have one of my favorite flavors of mushroom.
Yeah. And the wild ones have almost like a chicken skin flavor to them.
Yeah.
So how do you want me to cut these? Nip the root off just a touch?
Yeah. So you want to nip that part just a little bit. And the only reason why we're getting rid of that is because, you know, there might be just a touch of like sand or something like that in there.
Mm-hmm. And so we'll clean that and we'll save it when we make our mushroom stock for the risotto class.
Exactly. Yep. And so basically you want to portion them into large enough pieces so you can keep the integrity of each individual mushroom, but small enough so that you don't have to like struggle when you're eating it.
Nice. So I got that one into 4s. And then I just got a little plate with the paper towel. I'm going to put them on. Mm-hmm. And then you guys will see here, we have the mushroom shake, right? So you want to save the mushroom.
That's a very technical term, shake.
And so I got this piece here. So that's a good size right there, right?
What's that? Yep. Yep.
So we got
And you guys will see too, like one of the beautiful things about mushrooms is they all have different textures, different flavors. They cook differently. Like mushrooms are one of my personal favorite ingredients. And so we want to keep them large enough so you guys, when you eat them, you can really experience the difference between each of these really just beautiful mushrooms.
And so I'll put all these on a plate and we'll lay them out for you guys just so you can really see.
Yeah.
And so, Tyler, when we're cooking these, do we want to season them with a little salt and pepper?
Yeah, so the thing about cooking mushrooms is that they're 90% water, right? And so anything anything that has a high moisture content like that, when you put it in a pan, you guys see that? Can we get a halo on there or something? So as you can see, again, these are our maitakes right here, and these are our oysters right here.
So I like to season these because where I get the mushrooms from, they don't already come with salt and pepper on it.
Right. And so, well, the thing about cooking mushrooms, and to answer your question, is that if you add salt to them at the beginning of the cooking process, you aren't going to get as much caramelization because it's going to be letting water out as you're trying to cook it. And so the whole thing is when you're cooking and getting that browning, you really don't want to add any water to the process so it gets nice and brown. And so, yeah, Shannon, to answer your question, chanterelles, one of my favorite mushrooms of all time. We cannot wait for them to start popping up here pretty soon too.
Yeah, they couldn't find enough for us to be able to send you guys all some. But
yeah, they're not quite there yet. But these beautiful morels are just absolutely stunning right now.
Yeah, so between all these cooking classes, we bought the majority of the morels that are available right now from foragers. Hit that camera.
You see that one, Brett?
I am.
Yeah. So these ones, because they have this this almost like honeycomb, almost looks like a brain. So because they have that, and because the way that they grow is they pop up like out of like leaves and like dead branches and stuff, there's always a little bit of dirt like on the inside of them. And so these mushrooms we're gonna actually need to wash really quick.
So my favorite technique for washing them, I'm gonna take them, and you guys see that board cam? So I'm gonna take them, and what I did, I just cut it at the end there, right? Basically, we just want to open them up, because as they grow, things can get hidden inside there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna save all the roots, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab 2 bowls, and I'm gonna fill them both with warm water.
Yep.
And now these are very clean as they are.
And why use warm water?
So warm water is good because the warm water, when I'm agitating them, it'll help knock the dirt loose.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I got 2 just very simple bowls here, and I'm gonna fill them up over here. I'm gonna do this on camera for you guys.
Yeah. Shannon said she used to forage wild chanterelles and sell them for diaper money back in the day for her kids. I like the hustle over there, Shannon.
Shannon,
that's
how
what's
many
up.
diapers does a pound of
Right.
chanterelles purchase?
Right.
What is the ratio there?
Yeah. And would you ever get your kids involved in the mushroom hunting process as well?
Okay, so now we got our over-the-top cam. And then basically I'm just lightly dunking them with my hands open so that if any little sticks or anything come out, it falls to the bottom. And these are pretty nice and clean.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go up and down.
Yeah. And again, you're just agitating them to knock any potential little dirt. And you guys will see in your bowl there'll be a little bit of sediment in there.
Nice. And what you want is you put them into the next one, and that one is pretty clear. And so I'm just going to grab a paper towel.
Yep.
Right? I'm going to make a little bit of room here on my mushroom plate. And then I'm just going to have my morels on this mushroom plate. And you want to get them dry. You don't want them too hot. And then just look, you know, when these are really dirty, sometimes you'll open them up and there'll be like a snail inside there. You ever had that happen?
Yeah. Couple times. But you can, and so I know we just washed them once or went between 2 bowls, but you know, sometimes you got to wash them 10 times.
Yeah. So what you're looking for in that second bowl is that you get rid of there's no, it's clear.
Yeah, it's clean. The water looks clean.
Awesome.
Nice. And so again, we're going to save these little stems from the morels. We're going to save them for our little mushroom stock off to the side.
Cool. Very cool.
So, all right. So is everyone else ready to go on cutting their mushrooms over there?
Yeah, basically before we move into cooking the steak, what we want is a decent amount of thumbs up.
Yeah.
So we got
Some thumbs
Gina
up.
there, Sheila, Tyler. Tyler had a question I saw earlier here. Oh, so
Love
Tyler,
it.
we're
Love
using
it, family.
canola oil because it can get the hottest, right? And then it has the least amount of flavor. Christy,
Yeah.
amazing.
Canola oil is a really good like multi-purpose oil to have at your house. We use that at the restaurant all the time.
Does anybody know where Fred Exotic went? There he is.
Yeah, there he is.
Thank you, Fred. All right, and anybody else wants to turn your camera on, we're cooking together. It's a pandemic. We're a community. We're a big family. It's dinner time. Turn the camera on.
Yeah, Eric.
Perfect. Eric,
where are you?
Peter Rundle,
Peter,
thank
what's
you.
up?
There we go.
Hi, Dad.
There they are.
Awesome. What is up, guys?
Eric and Sam, what's up?
You guys got to understand,
love
we're
those
doing
aprons.
this, but we can't hear you. So
Incredible.
I have no idea how funny I am.
It's awesome.
What is up, Elizabeth? Cool.
Nice. All right, so everyone's got their mushrooms cut. I saw a bunch of thumbs up. And basically right now, we just got to get all the other mise en place ready. So all of our delis are close by. We just took the plastic wrap off of our canola oil. We got our little tray right here. We can start up the cooking process.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I got my pan right here. We're using an induction burner, but basically you just want to heat it on pretty high heat. And again, like Mr. McGee was saying, the important, when you're cooking a steak, you want to, in my opinion, it's that balance between a nice crust and the properly cooked steak. And so what you really want is to have that edge to edge, same temperature. And so the way we're going to achieve that is
you guys will
through
see
this frequent flipping method of cooking the steak. So you guys are going to see that. So basically, I got my pan heating up over high heat, and we're going to cook it. We're going to cook it on pretty much medium-high heat the entire time. And so those of you out there, I know my mom's not in this class, but people who don't necessarily like to cook at medium-high heat, we're turning it up today.
Yeah.
You better, you know what I mean? Like, whatever you got to do, have a drink next to you just to be ready for it.
Yeah.
You know, like,
It's
we're
gonna
going,
be hot.
we're going in the fast lane, and
Yeah.
we are just taking it all the way to the finish line.
Yeah.
So, very essential. That is a hot pan.
Nice hot pan.
Nice hot pan.
So step 1, done.
Yep.
Cut mushrooms, done.
Yep.
Heat 10-inch saute pan over high heat.
Yep.
We're working on that.
We're doing that right now. And so again, you want to preheat your pan before you ever put anything in it. You're getting the pan very hot.
Yep. So before you add the oil, you got the pan nice and hot.
Yep.
And so Fred Exotic has one question. It's, are we cutting the morels? And Fred, I don't know what size the morels and mushrooms are supposed to be when you feed them to tigers. So you're going to have to answer that question. And so season the steak with Balinese truffle salt.
Balinese truffle salt. So when you season, you want to season from up high.
As high as you possibly
As
can
high
get.
as you possibly can. And why is that, Jason?
That's because you want to be able to share that aroma with people.
Right.
We have
Very important.
Elizabeth, you're gonna have to a little bit higher there.
There you go.
guys- Here, let me actually try. Let me show them real quick.
Yeah, there you go. We got we're doing it right
Here
here,
goes.
but there might actually be a better.
You might need a ladder for this part. Okay. So.
You see that, Brett?
Nice. Wow.
That's a good height right there. Even distribution.
That is nice aroma. I can smell that.
Yeah. Sarah, I think even Sarah can smell it over there.
So
Nice.
to show you guys how much salt we put on there,
Yeah.
it's a pretty generous amount.
Yeah.
So you guys see that?
Yep.
Pretty generous amount because as you're cooking it, some will kind of dissipate.
Yeah, some will come off, and then we're gonna baste this steak with butter. So we want to make sure we got a good salt distribution on top. So now that the pan's getting hot, we're gonna add our canola oil to the pan. Again, we gave you guys the perfect amount of oil. And so if you're over there and you add the oil to the pan and it immediately starts smoking, just pull the pan off to the side and don't add all the oil.
Yeah, type panic into the chat box.
Yeah, type panic. We actually have standing by Chef 911 ready for any issues.
Perfect. So you guys are ready. We're about to start cooking the steak. Once we get it going, it's a pretty fast process here.
Yeah. So once we start it up, we're going. So as you can see, I got the oil in the pan, and I don't know if you can see that, Brett, but you see how you want the oil to flow back and forth like very quickly, and that means your pan is getting hot.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question is, when do you know when to put the steak in the pan? And it's very important that you get the oil right before the smoke point.
Yep.
So you'll start to see little like wisps of smoke. And make sure if you're over there, you got your ventilator on or whatever, or
Smoke alarm disabled.
you might set smoke alarm off, but it's all good.
Yeah.
In the name of steak, it's required.
Yeah.
Yep. So ours is not quite at the smoke point, which means I'm just gonna wait a little bit longer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
What's that?
who is this? Kathy. What is wrong? Can we unmute Kathy?
Yeah, where's Kathy at?
We're gonna unmute you real quick, Kathy.
Can I start cooking? Because it's smoking.
Okay, you gotta pull the pan
Okay.
back then.
Pull the pan back.
It was
Pull back.
smoking
It's
from
all
the
good.
beginning.
We're right here with you.
We got
Kathy.
you.
You will not.
No, you're a little bit behind. I was heating it up and it was way too hot.
Okay.
I need some wine.
All right. Yeah,
Perfect.
you need some wine.
There you go.
That's
Drink
very
some wine.
Okay, it's better now.
All right, we're better. Okay, excellent.
Awesome.
So,
All right, we're gonna go in together.
all right. So my pan is just about to start smoking, and so yeah, Brett, can you get one of those cameras? I don't know if you can
Perfect.
see it on the.
Steak over.
Yeah. So we got our steak right here, and so I just pulled it off to answer that question. So we're just gonna let it get just back to the right temperature, and then we're gonna go with it.
Awesome. You guys got this.
Yeah. And again, we will be with you the whole time.
And so really what you're looking for there is just the ripples. You guys see
Yep.
those ripples? Quick. Nice ripples on the pan,
Yeah.
on the oil. You'll tell it's an interesting ripple selection.
Yeah. It looks like water almost. But so right now is a very important time in terms of the cooking of it. So we are going to just wait with our induction burner till it gets the exact temperature.
Nice. And so next week, we're going to be doing a cheese and wine pairing class at 2:00.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be
You
really
see that,
cool.
Brett?
All right, perfect.
You see
Pan
it?
cam,
You guys can see the pan cam. Yeah, you see
Yeah.
that smoke?
a little bit of smoke.
Yeah.
That's
So
perfect.
you want to pull your pan off the heat, and I'm adding the steaks.
Mm.
And you want to hear like a really high sizzle.
Nice.
Very hot sizzle. You guys got your steaks in the pan?
There you go, Kathy. Awesome apron there, Fred Exotic.
Yeah. And then, there you go. And then our steak is on full speed. All the way up.
Cool. And then, Brett, will you just zoom in on that camera as much as you can?
Yeah. And so, as you can see, we got the steak right here, but then all these other areas of the pan that have nothing in it are getting very hot. And so when you flip the steak, you want to flip it to an area that does not have the steak in it. Does that make sense? So right now, we're about to flip the steak. So everyone get ready. No one panic. You want to pull the steak off the heat, pull the pan off the heat, and flip the steak.
Will you do that camera, please?
Yeah. Ready?
Yep.
So I want to tip the pan away from me and flip my steak over. And you'll
Nice.
see it doesn't have the most sear right now. But with consistent flipping, we will get that sear and we will get that nice internal temperature as well. What's that?
There's no medium well option here.
Nice. And so everyone's got their steaks in the pan. Kathy, I see you are very poised. Nice. And so again, we're going to be cooking at high speed the entire time. Very important. As you can see, our pan is smoking hot.
We'll also be drinking at high speed.
We'll be drinking at high speed as well. Now we're going to flip it again. And so you'll see, again, we don't have like that finished steak sear on the meat. But after we flip it 3 or 4 times, it's going to develop that really, really nice crust.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I have now flipped my steak 2 times.
Yep.
2 flips.
2 flips. If anyone's familiar with Kevin Gates, the same amount of cell phones that Kevin Gates has.
Yep. That's the number of flips that we're on.
Leah will put that music video into the chat.
Yep. And so if you have flipped it more than 2 times, that's just fine. The number of flips, flipping more often is better than flipping less often. So I'm going to flip it again right now. And so again, and we use, so the reason why we give you guys a good amount of oil is because you want to make sure you have enough oil in there to really brown the outside of that meat. You know, you basically are like almost frying it in a sense, but just at that really high heat so it gets that good temperature. And so something that is very important during the cooking process, and I'm about to flip it again right now.
And you guys see Tyler's pretty sweet technique there. He's doing all this just with a spoon.
Yeah. So you can do it with tongs. You can do it with a spatula. I'm doing it with a spoon. But it's important to tilt the pan away from you while you flip it. That way you don't burn yourself. But if you guys want to press on the meat right now.
So what are we looking for, Tyler? How do I know when this is done? That's like the whole art of cooking steaks.
Right.
How many steaks have you cooked?
I don't even know, man. Thousands.
Nice.
Thousands of steaks in my time.
I would like to call the expert witness to the stand, Tyler Vorst. Honestly, Tyler is like the guy that you want telling you how to cook a steak. So how do we know when it's at the right temperature?
And so basically, it's about how the meat feels, right? And so it's about like the bounce back of when you're cooking it. So the way I was told is like to use your hand. If you touch your thumb to your pinky, that's rare. That's medium rare. And I'm pressing right here. So the feeling of that is what the different meats are. But basically, it's just it's about the bounce back of the meat.
So the thumb to the pinky?
Yeah.
Or the thumb to this one?
So the thumb to the pinky is rare.
Right, and you're pressing right here.
Yeah, and I don't want to confuse you guys because I know you're all cooking over there. But basically, you just want to press on the meat and you want it to bounce back at you. You don't want it to be, if I press it and there's no resistance, it's very rare, right? Mm-hmm. If I press on it and there's zero give whatsoever, that's very cooked. None of you right now will be even close to that. we're getting pretty close to being done.
Yeah.
But you basically want to press it. You want some bounce back. And then that's going to denote like a nice medium rare. And so again, this steak is going to cook pretty quick because we got it properly tempered. We're cooking it at that high heat. We're flipping it often, just like Senor McGee told us to. Yep. And so
And then
during the steak cooking,
Chef Tyler, how much residual cook will there be after you start basting it? Because
yeah, so the thing is that when you start basting the meat, we're mostly just basting for flavor. Yeah.
You guys just wait till we get to the base section and we form like Voltron.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's looking really good.
So this is looking really good. So I'm about to add the butter. So I know right here, that's exactly what I want.
You want all this butter in there.
Yep, all that butter in there.
And you guys be careful adding stuff. The pan and the oil is hot.
Yeah. And so, Brad, as you can see, you guys see that? Your butter's doing that. Exactly what you want. Nice foamy butter, right? And then we're going to add our thyme and our garlic to the pan as well. Which,
right now,
my personal favorite part of the recipe is
smashing the
the
garlic.
smashing of the garlic.
All right. So proper demonstration on how to smash this garlic. We're going to go to the board cam. So I got it right there. Palm in the hand, right? Smash. See how there's garlic blood on the board? That's what
Yeah.
you want.
And so pretty much, you want to come back to this camera. So as you can see, I got my garlic, my thyme on top, my nice foamy butter. I'm just going to tilt the pan back and baste my steak with the butter.
Right. So Elizabeth, you can leave the garlic in the paper. I have
Yeah.
a good feeling you're trying to take it out of the paper right
Yeah,
now.
leave it in the paper.
So leave it in the paper and just
Yeah.
smash it.
In French, it's called en chemise,
On chemise.
which is in a shirt. So you want to, again, you got the foamy butter, right? And we're basting our steak with the foamy butter. And this is, I mean, I wish I could take a bath with this.
Oh
kind of
my
stuff, man.
God.
So delicious.
Oh. Very nice.
All right. And so now this steak is done, so I'm going to take it out and I'm going to rest it on the cutting board over here.
Peter Rundle, take the steak out of the pan.
Take the
and then-
steak out.
I just have some paper towels here
Yeah.
on the cutting board that we will rest the steak with.
Yeah. And so we just want to rest the steak. It's an important professional move that you have the garlic and the thyme on top of your steak as it's resting.
Wow. Right. And just so you guys at home, right, if we start the mushrooms and you're still with the steak, just listen to us and then just watch how we do it and then start the project.
Right.
Okay. You don't have to be 100% on each step with us. Just go step by step and make sure you make this enjoyable for yourself.
Right.
And then you guys have our information. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us directly.
Yeah. And so our steak is done cooking. It's out of the pan. It's resting on the cutting board. So everyone else should be just about this stage right here. Good to go. I see a thumbs up over there. Give me a thumbs up if your steak is out and resting.
Nice. Nice
Thumbs
job,
up,
guys.
thumbs up, thumbs up. Beautiful. So
Thank
now
you.
we're gonna make our pan sauce, right? And the beauty of this recipe is it's one pan, and that's it.
Yeah,
So we're gonna
really
take
nice.
so this nice beautiful butter that's got the steak in it. We're not gonna add the mushrooms quite yet, but we're gonna put the pan back on the heat and get it so that butter is foamy, right? So when you're cooking with whole butter, it's very important that you want the butter foamy because that basically represents like the correct heat. And you gotta cook with all your senses. So you gotta listen, right? You hear that butter? Brett, can you get one of these shots? Can you see
With
that?
this whole recipe, Elizabeth, you want pretty much generally high heat.
Yep. And so can you guys see the foaminess of that butter?
Yep.
Right?
You don't want.
You smell how delicious it smells? So we're gonna go all in with our mushrooms, right? So, I'm just gonna go around the edge. with these guys, and you guys can just, you know, pop them in there how you want. All those little bits too, you want that. It's all good stuff.
And if anybody's joining us for the ribeye class, we actually have Terry Hatcher is going to be cooking with us.
Yeah. And so again, I got my mushrooms in the pan, and I just want to stir the pan with my spoon, right?
Oh.
And you see that nice caramelization we're getting on those mushrooms? So again, I haven't added any salt yet, but we're about to add salt pretty soon. So you see, we got that nice browning of the mushrooms. Delicious. Oh my gosh.
Incredible.
Steak and mushrooms. Woo! One of the best combinations on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Doesn't get better than that. Okay, so now that my mushrooms are nice and brown, I'm gonna add just a pinch of our truffle salt. Just a pinch, because again, some of that salt that was on our steak is in this butter, so we just want to add just a little bit. We can always add more. Can't really add less.
You can't.
No.
Nancy, how you guys doing?
You doing good, Nancy?
A thumbs up if you're doing good.
Nice.
Awesome. Great job, guys.
All right, so now we're gonna add our Madeira. So if you have a stove that you're cooking with gas, you're gonna remove the pan from the stove.
Can we show them how to flambe it?
What's up?
Are we gonna flambe it?
You guys want to flambe it?
We are Ian.
We can flambe it. Yeah. We're not gonna flambe it. We'll show that in another class to show the flambe technique.
We lost Ian.
But basically, I'm gonna open up my Madeira, add it to the pan. Right?
Oh.
You're gonna smell absolutely intoxicating aroma that is Madeira, mushrooms, thyme, garlic, and butter.
What?
Unbelievable. So right now, so I have this Madeira in the pan, right? I'm gonna turn it down to like medium high. And we're gonna cook the Madeira until the pan is almost dry. In French is au sec, right? Au sec. Sec meaning dry. Au meaning pretty much there.
Yeah.
Right. Almost, about, sorta,
almost,
maybe. And the reason why you do that is you're concentrating the flavor of the Madeira. So you're taking the Madeira, you're cooking all the water off of it, so all that's left is flavor. And you'll hear it too, like as you're watching your pan, you're stirring it around, you're shaking it, right? You're shaking it with one hand, you're drinking with the other hand. Kathy, I see you shaking and drinking at the same time. And so we want to cook this till it is au sec.
And you guys will.
Baby. All right. Nice.
Tiffany, how is the small child doing?
Yeah, how's the little baby?
Can we unmute Tiffany?
Can we see this little baby? Oh my God! Look at that! Look at this.
Tiffany, you are unmuted. What is the small child? What is Spider Baby's name?
This is Maxine. Can you say hi?
What is up, Maxine?
We met Maxine.
Hi, Maxine.
Hi, Maxine.
She just woke up.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
Got the mushroom.
And then is Maxine a fan of beef?
Yes, she is definitely a fan of beef.
Nice.
And then will she give us a little thumbs up? Can we get a tiny little thumbs up there?
I'm not sure if she knows what that is, but here's our meat.
What? Look at that steak.
Nice.
That is awesome.
All right. So
Thank you.
we over here, the Madeira is basically cooked down all the way. We are almost at the point where there's no more liquid in the pan. Just a little bit of butter and some Madeira. And so now we're gonna add our tartuffe,
The truffle.
the truffles.
So I thought of a good everything.
we're gonna go all in. All the truffles in there at once.
So I thought of a good way to explain offset.
Yeah, what you got?
It means I just got to grab a couple things and I'll be right there.
That's a fan. I've never heard it said that way, but that's perfect. All right, so we got our truffles in there. I'm just warming them up. We got our Madeira. We got our mushrooms.
Whoa.
It is unreal in there right now.
It smells amazing.
I wish they made pools of this. I would swan dive into it. And now we're gonna add our cream. Okay, so we're gonna add our cream to the mix. And what cream does is there's a good amount of fat in cream, right? And so what we're gonna do is emulsify that fat into the liquid that's currently in this sauce that we're making. So in order to do that, we gotta stir it up. You gotta shake the pan around, you gotta stir it, and then we gotta bring it back up to the boil.
And if anyone here is no dairy, you can leave the cream out, and essentially what you'll have is a broken sauce.
Right.
Which is totally
Which
cool.
is fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fine if that's what you want. Yeah.
So you guys see, Tyler, how this cream's cooking down here?
So, Brett, can you show that? Yeah. So as the cream comes to the boil, you'll see a sauce is the sauce is being created. And so right now, super important, you want to taste. We're going to taste this and then adjust the seasoning.
And it's very important that you season this properly, right?
Yeah.
Salt, pepper, maybe if vinegar if you have it at the house.
Yeah, touch of vinegar works really well in here. So I'm just going to add just a little bit more salt. We're going to add a touch of pepper to it.
Because otherwise what happens is you have so much rich flavors, and if they're not balanced properly, you're going to create a dish you're not happy with.
Right. And so right now, as you can see, so this is that beautiful sauce that we formed right here.
Oh my.
So as you can see, like what I like to do is I like to scoop up a little bit of the sauce and I coat the mushroom with it. And if that looks like something I want to eat, this sauce is pretty close to being done. But the other move is, like we told you in the other segments, is nappe, right? So you put it on the back of the spoon. I run my finger through it. If it leaves a trail, that's sauce consistency. Nappe, right? So what do you think it needs, Jay? A little more salt?
I think just a touch more salt.
Touch more salt?
It's really nice.
Yeah. And so we're just going to put a little more salt in this. And so now at this point, at this stage in the game, we are going to, our sauce is done, right? We are going to carve our steak. So we're just going to put this sauce on super, super low heat or off.
Yep.
We're just basically keeping it warm. So how's everyone's sauce look? You guys good? See some thumbs up if that sauce looks delectable.
Nice.
Delicious. Amazing.
And then Fred, do you have a kitchen there, or is it a grill on the beach?
Right.
Can we unmute Fred real quick?
Fred, are we cooking seaside or what's going on over there?
Nice. Look at that kitchen.
Love the 2 thumbs up.
Love
Look
it.
at that kitchen.
At the Nancy Pelosi fridge.
That looks awesome.
Beautiful. All right, very cool. So we're going to slice this steak.
Nice. We're going to carve it up.
And then which knife do you want, Tyler?
We can use whichever.
That one actually is probably.
Yeah, we'll use the same one. So we got our knife. We have our, Jason is hitting it on the steel real quick. Make sure it's wicked sharp for when we're going to cut this steak. Thank you for the
You're welcome.
dramatic knife sharpening.
I'm doing it for them.
Doing it for the team. All right, so we're going to remove our thyme and garlic. We can use that as a little garniture, decoration. And so we're going to take the steak off of our paper towel. And then, so the way I like to cut this steak is we're just gonna cut it straight across. And so again, our sauce is staying warm. We're gonna carve up our steak. We're gonna split it between 2 plates, fat, and we're gonna chow down. So you guys ready to carve this thing?
I'm ready.
So pretty much, again, I'm gonna come over here and I'm just gonna cut it and you wanna use like almost a sawing motion as you're carving, right? So when you come down with the steak, you wanna go across the grain like that.
Wow.
And it brings it down, you know? So again, coming across the steak, cut it down into that nice big piece. We got our beautiful cooked steak right here.
Stunning.
And we're cutting it into nice portions, you know what I mean? So that way Jason and I have enough to eat.
Yeah.
We like to chow down on the steak. So basically I got 4 slices for myself, 3 slices for Jason.
Which I will share with my wife, because I love her.
Jason will share with his wife.
And her father is on this Zoom call.
Yeah. We're going to transport it over to our plate over here. Boom.
All right. Lily and Jack, very nice.
Stunning.
But you got to stop sharing your screen. And then I'm going to do the sauce here.
Beautiful. Very important part.
So when I plate this, essentially what I'm going to do is we got a plate cam right here. Plate cam is also a cooking cam. Really blurry. I'm going to hit it over the top. That way each bite gets some mushroom, right? Then I'm going to show you guys a cool little plate technique. So over the top.
Over the top.
Right? And then I get all the little mushrooms out of the pan, and I'm going to have just a touch left.
Yeah.
Right? Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
A little sauce.
So I'm going to scrape all that down. And what I want is 2 spoonfuls. So I'm going to take that, right, and hit it just over the edge.
There you go.
So when you guys see those chef dishes, right, and you're like, how do they make it look
like,
so
wow, that looks so cool.
dope?
Well, that's how they do it.
So it's just, and cue the music. The tip of the Voltron spoon.
Oh, the Voltron. Here we go. Ready? Nice.
This is our Transformers theme song.
Love it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Look at that steak.
Look at that steak. Delicious steak.
So turn your cameras on. Let's see some of these dishes. Awesome, Kathy. Nailed it. Nancy.
Look at that,
Ryan.
Kathy.
Gina. You guys nailed it. Look at
Yes.
that. Unbelievable. Awesome.
Gina, we are live from the Golden Gate Bridge over there.
Amazing.
Looks
Fred,
great.
how's that steak? Oh,
Wow.
Hey,
look at that.
guys.
Look at that, Tiffany. And oh my
Awesome
gosh, that's
job, guys.
gorgeous.
Look at
Beautiful
that.
plate
You got the
up.
sauce move.
Look at that.
There
Those
you
are
go,
our same
Sherry.
plates. We using the same plate, Sherry?
Nailing it.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. What is this over here?
Wow. We have
Dad?
mushrooms and they got their sides going. Some spaghetti squash.
What is
that my
spaghetti
dad?
squash and
That looks like his kitchen. Yeah. How did you deviate from the recipe this week, Dad?
Nice.
Peter?
Awesome.
Looks good.
Well, back to us here, guys. Most important part, okay? Look how good this looks. So, Next week, we're doing a cheese and wine pairing class, right? And we're going to have different cheese producers, the date producers. We're going to have a video from the guy that makes all the honey, right? It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
You can hang out 2 o'clock, and we only have honestly, we only have 100 of these because we're doing a class in the afternoon, but we want to be able to make sure that we're doing something with you guys. So the link is in there. Go hit it up. And we've also started selling these t-shirts. You guys asked for it. We got it on the website.
Yeah.
You guys get to use the code INVITED20 for 20% off, and that's good for only today. Okay? So you got to book it today. It's on the website, and thank you guys so much. Listen, our collective goal is to prepare 1,000 meals for healthcare workers a week, and you guys are making that possible.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And if you need any wine recommendations for next week, you're welcome to reach out. If there's things that you want to add to your cellar, want to learn about smaller producers, or get ready for the, just like enjoying some unique wine for next week, you're welcome to email us. And I'm Sarah with an H at truffleshufflesf.com. So feel free to email me.
And you guys stay tuned. We're going to be on NBC California Live. They reached out. They love what we're doing. They're excited about you guys. So all of us are going to be on the show.
There you go. Have a little cooking class.
And the last thing that I got is, so we got the cheese and wine class next week, and then we have Mother's Day class, which you guys know is the crepes. So we'll actually be doing that with Terry Hatcher, so that'll be pretty cool. And then the week after that, do you guys want macaroni and cheese again, or do you guys want a fresh ravioli class? So type it into the chat bar. You guys tell us. We are going to make it happen. So let's blow up that chat bar. Put the fork down. Tell me what you want. Ravioli?
Ravioli.
Yeah, this morning they wanted ravioli too.
Yeah.
Mac and cheese.
Awesome.
Fred Exotic wants mac and cheese.
Amazing. Well, listen, we're going to end this. Brett's going to play a video showing you guys the mac and cheese that we made for all the healthcare workers this week because of you guys. And then you guys are totally welcome. Tune into the next class, and we'll be cooking with Terry Hatcher. So Harold, thank you.
Yes.
Snake River Farms, thank you. And all of you guys, thank you so much. It's incredible to be able to do this with you guys.
Hey everyone, this is Ian from Truffle Shuffle. We're donating over 200 mac and cheese meals today to 3 different hospitals throughout San Francisco and Oakland. It's gonna be awesome. Hey everyone, Ian from Truffle Shuffle here. We're at Highlands Hospital in Oakland. We just donated a bunch of mac and cheese to all these helpers out here.
Truffle Shuffle!
We're here at Zuckerberg General Hospital today. We just donated about 100 meals worth of mac and cheese to all the hardworking people.
Truffle Shuffle!
We're here at UCSF. We just donated another 75 mac and cheese to these guys. Everyone, again, we're super appreciated, just as we are.
Truffle Shuffle! Thank you, Truffle Shuffle!